I'm starting to think that I have hit upon an aspect of Judaism that's relevant for the times. This aspect is that the Jewish focus has to be in the what we'll call the hara point, but it's really the yesod point, and it's even more so, it's the place of the bris. As the place of the bris is the center of the body. It's the lower part of the center, so to speak, Tiferet being the center. Well, the thing is, I'm explaining all this with a lot of words, blah, 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 because the whole point of this is to get it out of the intellect. Judaism has been put into the intellect. Everything is a different opinion. Everything is a understanding or a misunderstanding of text. By definition, text is an open book, and nobody will ever agree. The reason why is that the focal point in Judaism has been in the intellect. And then the focal point in Hasidism has been in the heart and the emotions. But there's never been a Judaism that had the focal point in the body itself. All Jews are doing yoga. It's because they want to be into the body. Do you know what I mean? If you don't agree to that, then shut it off now. 2 minutes, that's it. But we have to go and change the alignment of the self. The Jewish position, me included, is hunched shoulders, head over, even when walking. You see, head down, head heavy, not balanced within the structure of the body. Hump shoulders in, holding in the heart, over a book. Well, what do I need a book for? I don't play tennis with a book in my hand. You know, I play piano all my life. I can't read music. So the two things that I do, tennis and music, have nothing to do with the intellect. And I've got news for you. I was born a Jew. I don't have to study to be a Jew. Hear what I said? I was born a Jew. I have the Jewish spark of Moshe. Like we all do. It's like a chip, an imprint. So do you think we have to really study? Study to be what we are? Quite frankly, everybody's given an oral language. Everybody's given the body. Body is the tree of life. Ever hear the tree of life? That's the body. The Jew, maybe we'll talk about it, but the whole idea of the necessity of a bris as being a commandment, let's call it that. As you know, I think that the bris is the most important thing and what makes a Jew. And that's on the 8th day. So on the 8th day, he's gotten it all from the tradition of the past. So he's welcomed in, and where is that bris? It's on the yesod point. It's in the gut, in the stomach, in the hara. It's the place where we eat 3 times a day. Eat vegetarian 3 times a day, that is, when we're in Gan Eden. And don't have to worry about kashrut laws. You don't have to really worry about being kosher when you're a vegetarian. When you pick that fruit off the tree, you don't really have to worry about being kosher. And the body itself is naturally, first of all, naturally heals. You have a cut, naturally heals. Let's remove the intellect. They say that the Mashiach will come when there's like a momentary pause in your intellect. Pause in thinking. Well, that's what's going to happen. Because let's get the head back into the body. And then they always teaching about the emotions, the negative emotions and the positive emotions. And you should turn your negative emotions of like hate into positive emotions of love. Emotions now. Now I have to think. Then I have to intellect. I have to study God. God surrounding me and everything. And I have to study it in language, in a written book. Study it so I can be aware of it. Once it's put into the intellect that the focus is the intellect, you're never going to get it. When the focus is the emotions, and that you have to tikkun your emotions, you're never going to get it. See? So what you really have to do is balance this head back into the body, balance the emotions straight up and down, and make a line like they do in yoga of the head being in line with the heart, the emotions, being in line with the hara point. And that's where all the energy comes from Yesod. And even in all these other systems, I remember reading about Rajneesh, about Osho, whatever they wanted to call him. And he used to say that breathing, when you filled your belly, when you brought down the air into the belly, into the lower tantien. And why to do that? Why to bring the air low? It's to get it into it's sort of the lower part of the stomach, of the abdomen, and of the diaphragm. Will bring it down so it'll touch the yesod point, where all the energy is in the sexual area. So we bring the stomach down and everything down. Why? Only to touch the yesod, the sexual area. And that's where our true essence of Judaism is, in the yesod and in the bris. You see, at the point of the bris. And how do we know this as a fact? Like even Rebbe Nachman of Breslov had those 10 Psalms to rectify the whole idea of the sexual area of the bris. That even makes more sense than intellect, because Psalms are of an emotion, of a saying, and it's to rectify the bris. And does this bris have to be rectified? Let's say it is. But are you going to rectify your sexual component by intellect? Are you going to rectify your sexual components by emotions? When you have a gut reaction like love at first sight, which means that the stomach goes down into you, love at first sight, it touches the yesod. The stomach gasps into yesod. When you have that, it's beyond intellect. It's beyond emotion. So love at first sight, yesod. I don't need a dating site and know what habits the girl has or the man has. Does she like strawberries and cream or just ice cream? Oh yes, I won't date her. She likes strawberries. Intellect. What's good for the society. Intellect is how we built up this society. It's also how we have everybody unhappy. Because they're out of their natural self. You don't have to study to be a Jew. You are a Jew. You have to study about beards. I grow a beard. You only study things that you're not. And even then, the idea of the focus point that the self is in the head, or the self is in the heart, or the self is really in the sexual area, which we'll call the stomach or the hara, the middle of the body. And a nice answer to this is tefillin. Why would you have to put on tefillin? To unify the head and the heart as the major mitzvot. And I've got news for you, as I said in the previous video, that's only because at 13, when the sexual component is at its highest, do you start to put on tefillin on the head and the heart to kind of, like the 10 Psalms, rectify yourself a little bit in the sexual area and keep yourself kind of like fit and in the mode, the correct mode there. So tefillin has to do with the bris, and as the maturation of the individual, of the man. And at 13, when he becomes, potent, pubic, then it adds. Now, what is the original tefillin? You know, the tefillin that we put on with the blocks and the straps and the this and the that. But how did Adam observe the mitzvah of tefillin before the tefillin was given? And I said in the previous video 3 years ago that the tefillin of the head is Adam, and when he was still when the female was still in him, and then the female was split out of him as Hava, and that became the left arm. So originally, when he was, centered, so to speak, with the female and the male inside him, then he became left hand. The female became Chava, and she's the left tefillin of the arm, hand. And this is all still in relationship to the bris. And what is the one commandment that's given in Bereshis. It's to be fruitful and multiply, Priya Varivya. When you read about like the commandments and what Bereshis, what mitzvahs came out of what Torah portions, they say, Priya Varivya, be fruitful and multiply in Bereshis. And where does that come from? What Sephirot would that come from? That's Yesod. And Yesod is the potent Sephirot. It's potency. And that's what we're interested in. So, I'm interested in the body. The body sleeps when tired. It eats when hungry. Everything is man from heaven. Everything is God. Drinks water. We all water. Natural. This is a unique few minutes here. You haven't heard this. But there's going to be a continuation of this because, in my opinion, this is the real Judaism that was evident from the very beginning.